What do you think I have wrong about women?
That because we have a different makeup to our physical bodies, that we're different.
You don't think we're different?
I think everybody's unique.
What are men in their 50s like today?
Different.
Different to...
To women in their 50s.
What are they like? Tell us.
They're not like
I don't
us.
know. I don't know what they're like. You have to tell us. What are they like, Mom?
We make a judgment about a person within the first 7 seconds of meeting them. So how they present themselves starts and sets the scene. So you got to look good.
Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I've got a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we love to talk about all things dating, relationships, and seeing what we can do to attract the kind of person and relationship we want. So without further ado, I have a very special episode today. Please welcome to the show, my mother, Jane. Hello, Mom. It sounds weird saying your first name, doesn't
I bet it does.
How you doing, Mum? How you doing today?
I'm really good. It's great to be here, Kim.
Yeah. I'm so glad you are here. We're gonna have a fun conversation, right? And see what's going on in the dating from different generations as well. So, Mum, I always love to jump straight in.
Okay.
So, first, tell us your age or your age range. Asking a lady her age, and something a guy should know about you if he was going to take you on a date.
Oh, so the first thing is I'm in my 50s, and we'll leave it there.
Okay.
And the first thing a guy should know about me, if they're going to take me on a date, is first impressions matter.
In what sense? Like, what is it specifically that you'd be looking for?
Well, we make a judgment about a person within the first 7 seconds of meeting them. So how they present themselves, which I must say your dad was impeccable at in terms of his personal presentation.
Yes.
Starts and sets the scene. So you got to look good. That's if we're meeting face to face, because that's what happens in my generation. You know, all this swiping left, swiping right.
Still very new. It's all very new.
Kiss and date is just not on for people like me.
It's true. It's true. Do you know what's funny? Even people my generation and below, they're sick of it as well. So I'm hoping that people are getting back to meeting people in real life, going to social events, all of this stuff. I know you mentioned about dad.
Yeah.
What was it like back then in terms of the dating landscape compared to now?
I think that we muddled through it because we didn't have anywhere to go to find out how to date. We certainly didn't have a you. I mean, you would have been great in our time, but
she's very biased, but I will take it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So it was very much you saw someone you liked, and I would say that in my generation, a lot of women, we went after who we wanted because no offense,
go on,
but the male generation weren't as, shall we say, equipped, as confident, as forthcoming as the men in your generation are.
Really? So you think men in my generation are more forward and forthcoming than men of your generation back then?
Yeah.
That's so interesting, because I think a lot of women would feel that guys don't approach nowadays.
Wow. They should try it in my days.
Okay. So how would...
Or maybe it's just a gender thing.
Maybe it is. So how would back in the day, would women make themselves known to the man that they want? You said about going after the man. What would that look like?
Well, you just make sure that you're in close proximity in more ways than one. So I met your dad at university.
In Nigeria or here?
In Nigeria.
Right.
So that's, as you know, where I grew up.
Yeah.
That's our heritage, your heritage, with a name like Akintunde.
Yes, sir. Has to be done.
And it was, what was great about your dad was the first time I saw him, I kind of knew. I was like, ooh.
Really?
Yes.
What was it about him?
Your father had a presence about him, but he was also 6'4". And for me, height was really important.
So that hasn't changed.
He was dark. But he was this beautiful darkness, beautiful black skin, and he looked like Wesley Snipes.
Didn't
he?
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. Yeah.
But it was the way he dressed. Your father was deliberate. He was sharp. I remember a time he threw this party, and when he walked out of his room, he was in this navy linen trousers, starched to an inch of its life, with a matching white linen shirt,
Yep.
also starched. And back in the day, we didn't have spray starch.
Mm.
You had to get block starch, soak it, and then the Nigerian sun would dry it and
do that.
do its thing. And his shoes were always highly polished.
So just really making an effort in that, being presentable.
Yeah, but it was for himself. He wasn't doing it for anyone else. It was who he was. And the other thing about him was his hands. You know, in our generation, hands and shoes were very important. When you see a man, it's not just what they're wearing,
Yes.
but you have a look at hands, fingernails, and then you check the shoes.
Yes.
Because they are indicative of personal hygiene.
Yep.
And cleanliness levels.
Yes.
Very, very important.
Yeah, very, very true.
Yes.
That's so interesting. I'm going to give the floor to you. What's something you want to talk about today? Because you came prepared, which we love. We love when a guest comes prepared. So what did you want to talk about today, Mom?
Well, I wanted to know from your perspective,
Yes.
what is a parent's role
Mm.
in the dating life of their young adult children?
Very good question. So I think it's different based on father, mother, daughter, son. I think the role is the same, but I think that from mother to a son, it is to help him make sure he chooses a woman wisely, right? So as a mother, when your son brings a girl home, you're there to be like, okay, who is she? What are things because as a woman, you know women. So what is it that maybe he could be missing, I could be missing about what it is to be a woman and how she would be that you can enlighten me to? And I think it's the same for a father to a daughter. I think that when a daughter brings a man home, a father is there to recognize what kind of man is this, because of course she feels good around him because obviously it wouldn't be together. But that doesn't necessarily say what kind of man that he actually is. And I think that's the role of the father, to be like, cool, what kind of man is this? Can I trust him with my daughter? X, Y, and Z. And I think the same for a mother. What do you think?
Yes. It's interesting because I do agree with you only to a certain point.
Go on.
I do believe we need to have our own perspectives of the individual and the relationship as a whole.
Yes.
Between our children and their possible lifetime partners.
Yes.
But not to verbalize.
I think to verbalize when requested.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because I think if, as a parent, you have a great relationship with your children, and I would say it's not something that is a given.
Yeah.
But should that be the case, then it's very much about being supportive but non-directive. And it's also about how you demonstrate relationships, because our children observe or learn through observing their parents or their caregivers' behaviors.
Yes.
And it's right from young that we are teaching our children about how to be in a relationship and what relationships look like. That becomes part and parcel of the lens at which they look through life. So if we don't get that right, it will naturally just fall into their intimate relationships. And so trying to fix it after the fact, in my opinion, is too late.
Is there any way as a parent you can raise warning?
Let me ask you, Kitunde, as my favorite child.
Our only child. Yes, mother.
How would you feel if I gave you warning? Let me ask you this. Have I ever given you warning before?
No, you haven't. But I think partly because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you trust my judgment.
Yeah.
My judgment hasn't always been necessarily right, but I think my judgment has been right for where I've been at the time. But you tell me.
Well,
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I just realized this episode is gonna be very exposing for me, but it's okay. We're here for it. Let's get into it. Let's go. Yeah, go for it.
I think your audience need to know a bit more about you from the other side
Oh no,
of the
here
coin.
we go. All right, let's get into it. I'm here. I'm an open book.
I think it's runs deeper than that. I think it's about respect.
Yes. Do you think that's different for a son and daughter?
Do you mean a father and a son and a daughter?
What I mean is, do you think that making an effort to show the respect for your son is more important to him because it's about you giving input? Because I think, and maybe it's because I'm a man, so I'm biased. We know respect is very important in our culture, but it's also very important to men.
Yes.
So when you say about respect, elaborate on that. What do you mean?
So with regards to, have I ever given you a warning? Because that's kind of how the thread of the conversation started.
Yeah.
You and I have great respect for each other, which goes against our culture when raising a child. Because when we're raising children, it's they have to respect us.
Yeah.
Respect for our children in my generation was not something that was prevalent across
Very true.
families.
Very true.
Nigerian families. So I always saw you not just as my son, but I saw you as a person. I saw you as a human being. And seeing you as a human being and all the traits that you had is how your dad and I raised you, even though we weren't together. And being respectful to who you were and being respectful of your space was something that was really important in the raising of you from being your mum. Because for me, if we have that level of respect, it means when I say something that is really important to me as far as the decisions you're making is concerned, it would land better than if it was just your mother saying something.
Yeah, because ultimately there's trust within the relationship. So it's like, okay, I trust if you're saying something, if you're giving input, then it's, okay, I know you wouldn't say it unless I needed to hear it. This is going to be a very exposing episode. That's fine for me. For me, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm too old to be exposed.
It's true or no? It's true. What have you noticed? What are men in their 50s like today?
Kitunde.
What are they like?
Do you mean single men in their 50s?
Give me both.
But I don't know any married men in their 50s outside of family.
No, you have friends, no?
Oh, really?
Okay, tell me single men then. What are single men in their 50s like? Even that face alone. What are they like?
Different.
Different to
women in their 50s.
What are they like? Tell us.
They're not like
I don't
us.
know. I don't know what they're like. You have to tell us. What are they like, Mom?
Kitunde, you can't be asking me this kind of question.
Give me one thing.
Just one.
One.
Their confidence is not. It's
not there.
No.
They're beaten through life. Is that what it is? Just beaten through life.
They're on a different plane.
Okay.
And I don't mean an airplane.
Yeah. So just different. What's different?
I think that I think they have a lot to contend with.
Okay.
You know, the world has changed really quickly.
Yes.
In our generation. And to keep up with it is in itself is a challenge. And when I say keep up with it, it's all the expectations. It's to do with how tech has moved so quickly. Kitunde, listen. Before you were born, TV was black and white.
Very true.
That was it.
Very true.
Now the choices that we have, it's like all the flavors of the ice cream and more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's so having to be quite deliberate and intentional in how we're evolving through all the changes, because of course we're evolving as well as in human beings.
Yes.
We all evolve, and I would say that I feel that women of my generation are evolving a lot faster than the men in our generation.
You mean in regards to like technology, like cultural adaptation, would you say? Like how things have moved on? You feel like women are more clued into that
I'd
compared to the
probably
men?
even say even deeper than that, on an emotional level,
Okay.
of being
interesting.
really, really comfortable with our emotions, expressing our emotions, talking about our emotions, and just being very open with who we are. I mean, I remember that probably 10, 15 years ago, the menopause wasn't spoken about. Now we're all talking about it. It's not a big thing. It's really, really not a big deal. But I know a lot more men are talking about mental health, which is coming out.
Yes.
Which is really great. But what I see is men are speaking to men about mental health. That's kind of a really safe space.
Yep.
How many are really comfortable expressing that with women? I don't know, because I haven't really seen that many spaces, and maybe it's because I haven't been to any.
Yep.
But I also think that the traditional roles have changed an awful lot.
Very true.
Which is affecting probably how men show up, the perception of their role, the perception of their purpose.
Yes.
Whereas women are kind of, well, if we can, if it's out there, we can do it.
Yeah.
And it's not, there aren't as many obstacles for women like there used to be in the past.
Yes.
And so we are just exploring, being curious, and enjoying what we're learning about ourselves, each other, and the world. And so I think we're probably a bit more open to what's happening.
I think that's fair. I think part of the reason, you can tell me what you think, part of the reason why it seems like men are speaking to men is because, one, I think, especially maybe older men as well, there's this perception they feel they have to upkeep with women. But also as well, I think sometimes there can be this, if a man expresses about, if he's struggling in certain areas, I think sometimes what they experience is some women go, yeah, but I have it harder because X, Y, and Z. And it's like, that's not what we're talking about. Whether it's true or not is debatable. But it's like, if a man says today, okay, I feel that, especially the younger generation, I feel that, well, there's a lot of support for women for them to be ambitious to succeed. Yet I'm told that if I'm ambitious and I want to, do things my way, then that's toxic masculinity. That's misogyny. Right? But the irony is, at least from a lot of women I speak to and coach, is that the kind of man they express they want has those driven leadership qualities that I think a lot of younger boys are told is wrong.
Yeah.
I think a lot of young boys are, I'm biased in saying this, but they're held to a feminine standard. Like, you have to sit and be still, which studies show that boys tend, like, the optimum learning environment for boys and girls is quite different.
I'd agree.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what's it like? What have you noticed dating been like through my eyes? As in, what you've observed from me throughout the years. What have you noticed about dating? What have you noticed about men and women? What have you noticed about me?
You.
Sure, about me.
You.
Go for it. We're here.
Kitchen Day, you.
Well, tell us about the landscape, what you think you've noticed through me, and then you can say what you think about me.
No, let's do it the other way around. Let me tell you about you first.
Tell me about myself. Okay,
I don't know about the landscape. That's your job.
Okay, fair enough. Go for it.
You...
We get crucified here, but it's okay. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Lay it on.
Your level of confidence astounds me.
Maybe. Oh, really?
Because you have a lot going for you.
She's biased, but I'll take it.
I'm not biased. You're good looking. You're tall.
Well, who knows?
You're successful.
Who knows? Who knows?
I know.
Who knows?
I know. And you're very kind
Thanks, Mom. I try to be.
and very considerate. And you're generous. See, I've even lost the number of fingers on this hand.
I appreciate it.
And you get better as you get older because you have the wisdom and the learnings that you have of your own dating experiences. You apply into your next dating experience. And I won't share everything that I know about you and your dating experience.
Yeah, you'd have to give names and certain details.
I'm not giving names
what have
or
you,
numbers.
or numbers. What have you
What have
gone?
I noticed?
Yeah,
what
have you
I've
noticed?
noticed is you're extremely attentive to whoever you're dating.
Sorry, I appreciate that. What have you noticed about maybe what dating is like today through my own relationships and maybe people you've met?
Right. What I've noticed is that a small number of men have access to a huge pool of women.
You're not wrong. Tell me more. What have you?
Which I think is absolutely unfair to the women out there. Completely unfair.
What have you seen that suggests that?
So the first thing that I will say is that the women of your generation,
Yep.
for many, not all, for many, how they look is really important to them. Aesthetically, they a lot want to be aesthetically pleasing.
Yes.
And I do question who they're doing it for if they're single.
Big facts. Say more.
Because forgive me because, I'm
Say how it
different
is.
generation. But I think the men that will choose you are probably the men that you don't want. So I really think that the mindset of your generation is that a lot of women are not aware of what the men they're looking to attract look for in a woman.
I concur.
And as far as you are concerned, Kitunde, is you fortunately fall into that small pool of men that attract, or that a large group of women are attracted to.
Who knows?
Which means, I haven't finished.
Sorry, go ahead.
Which means that you have the pick of whoever you want. And Kitunde, you do pick whoever you want.
Who knows?
Let me ask you a question.
Who knows?
Isn't it true
Is it what true?
that you pick whoever you want? Kitunde, women come up to you all the time.
Well, not all the time.
The only time they don't come up to you is when you haven't left your
house. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
You drive a lovely car. You dress well after your father.
I appreciate it. You're biased though. You're my mom. You're going to be on my side.
I'm not biased. I have eyes and I can see.
I appreciate it. And
I don't mean to shout, but it's because it's true.
I appreciate it. Though it's funny how you touch on recognizing this generation about the women's focus is so much on their appearance. And you're like, do they actually know what the kind of man they looks for in them? So, but women's appearance has always been important for men. So what do you think that's not new, but do you think it's just more focused on? You feel that's the only thing that they're looking at? The ladies, the only thing that they're focusing on?
No, I don't think so. Because I think at that age, you are still finding out about your own identity.
Sure.
You're finding out about your self-worth.
Yep.
You're discovering your own boundaries. And if we're not curious and we don't try different things, as young women don't try different things, you don't know who you are, therefore what you're looking for. In my generation, especially growing up in Nigeria, it was really important that we got married and we had a family. Not so for women of today, and I'm talking heterosexual women, of course.
Yes.
But I do think that the pressure on women as well in terms of appearance is a lot more than it was in my generation.
That's fair. True. Yeah.
I don't know whether women have investigated why that is in today's world, why appearance matters so much, because really, you don't want to fit in. You want to stand out.
You don't look all the same.
No.
Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. Like, do they have the outcomes and relationship outcomes that you actually want?
Yes.
It's so true.
Because we all want to belong. We
Yeah.
all want to love, and we all want to be loved.
Yes.
The two last things about wanting to love somebody and being loved in return is huge. It's part of our human experience.
Yeah.
But many individuals don't know how to receive love.
What does that look like, not knowing how to receive love?
It means that we people please. It means that it's like, it's okay, don't worry about me. Your needs come first.
Yes.
It means you put other people before you all of the time, or your partner in front of you all of the time.
Yes.
But then you expect that from your partner. And then when you don't get it, you then look to your partner as being the problem. Right. Instead of saying, why can't I receive in the same capacity that I give? Because if you can't receive in the same capacity that you give, then you need to internally check in with yourself. Because if you're always giving, because some people think in order to receive, I must keep giving. But if you keep giving to a partner outside of yourself, when I say outside of yourself, because you also have a partnership with yourself, then you need to ask yourself, what about the relationship you have with yourself? If you do not have a good relationship with yourself and know who you are, and you give love to yourself, and when I say give love to yourself, it's not about buying yourself things. It's not about how you look on the outside. It's how you feel about yourself. No makeup, when you're at home, when you're tired. How do you care and tend for you? Because if you cannot care and tend for you first, your caring and tending for a partner will be short-lived.
Why?
Because you're expecting something in return.
Right. In that case, it's not actually real love, because love is to give without
expectation of receiving.
Yeah.
Therefore, we should always give. We should really work on self-love. When you work on your own self-love and you have that in spades, it's so easy to love someone else exactly as who they are. But it also means that you will choose right for yourself.
Completely agree. What is the difference between having a level of that self-love, but also not being arrogant, narcissistic, the world revolves around me? What is the difference? Because I think there's a very fine line. But what do you think the difference is between those two paradigms?
One has an ego, the other doesn't.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
What does the ego look like? When the one that does?
Self-serving.
Right.
It's all about me, the external.
Right.
Real self-love is very quiet. Doesn't need to prove anything. Doesn't need to say anything. Just is.
Yeah.
It's from the inside out. It's a glow. It's an energy. It's not words. That's the difference.
It's that quiet confidence.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, you don't need to say I'm loving myself, X, Y, and Z, because you just do it in your actions, and that's more fulfilling than just having the perception that you are.
Yes.
Because I guess when we say it, or when I think a lot of people say it, it's like they're trying to show everybody else, hey, look at me, I'm confident.
Yeah.
Whereas the person who's confident doesn't need to do that.
No. Because the person who says, look at me, is looking for external validation and approval.
Yes. Instead of actually giving it to themselves.
Yeah, if you already have it, you don't seek that which you already have.
You don't seek that you already have. Wise words, mother. Very wise words.
So I've got a question for you, son.
Go for it. Lay on me.
Back to the parenting role.
Oh, yes.
So how was I, as a mother, in your dating journey?
That's a very good question. You were right in a sense that you let me make my own decisions. You were always an ear I could come to if I needed, and I knew that was there, even though I wouldn't always maybe do that, but I knew it was there, and that was enough. I think that one thing that maybe you being an example for me, because we've always had a really good relationship. And you're a very, successful, beautiful, intelligent woman.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But I think one thing that you very much nurtured and raised in me was emotional intelligence.
I didn't raise it in you. I saw it in you at the age of 6 and recognized it. And I thought, he is older than his years.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you're loving this episode and these kinds of conversations, then I want to give you something. We recently launched the Kits Angels community. This is a sisterhood for women who are tired of what the dating scene has given them and are ready to take their love lives to the next level. It's a space for you as a woman to not be alone in your journey to love, where we learn, talk, and share our experiences as part of a strong sisterhood, with some leadership and guidance from yours truly, of course. Not to mention never before seen videos from me on how I've led dozens of women to meeting great men. And so as a thank you for watching this episode, I'm giving you a month's membership completely complimentary on me. Just click the Kits Angels link below, and when you join the group, message me the code phrase Angels Podcast and I will pay for your membership. Now back to the episode. But you definitely helped nurture that and facilitate. You guided an element of growth in that for me. And that is something that is a non-negotiable for me and the women that I choose. That level of emotional intelligence.
Tell me more.
Well, because I think that's part of the reason why, which some women I've dated have been older than me, even significantly older. And I think part of that is because with emotional intelligence, there's a level of emotional maturity and knowing how to regulate yourself. There's an element of knowing how to understand the other person, even if they're not saying anything, right? Being able to recognize that. And I think, if I'm trying to be honest and transparent, I think us both having that has really helped our relationship over the years, in terms of, because we've had arguments, disagreements, but I think how we've come together from that's something that I look for in a partner. And what I've realized in my experience is women who I've chosen who have that, there's that level of love, respect, and understanding and allows to facilitate for better intimacy. I think that's a lot to do with how I've been raised by you in that regard. Because I'll probably say I got that from your side as opposed to dad's side. Dad's side, I got different things.
I'm going to come on about your dad, but I just wanted to thank you. And then what I wanted to say was about intimacy. If you break that word down, it's actually into me you see.
Yes, into me you see. That's Esther Perel, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, Esther Perel. I think, that's when I first heard it.
Yeah.
Into me you see. Yeah.
So your dad, you see, I think your dad was really lenient.
You think he was lenient with me in regards to what? Dating?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm a boy though. It's different.
How's it different? He would.
It's different.
I'm not give away what he did. Anyway, carry on.
Nah, we want to know. What did he give us? A little something.
So in my home,
yes,
I wouldn't allow your partners who you were dating to spend the night. It's just not on. Whereas with your dad, he was okay with that. I was not okay with that.
I think that's a son or daughter thing, because I don't think he wouldn't be like that with my sisters. Would not be like, no way, he would not be like that with Ren and Mids. Would not be like that with them. I think part of it, because when I lived with dad, I was 18.
Yes.
So when I
very young.
Still young.
Very young.
Still very young. But
in the dating world, you were young in the dating world. You were probably a couple of years in.
Yeah, I mean, my first girlfriend was 16, I guess.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so
no,
2
that's
years
true.
in.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I think That's true. But I think maybe there's something to do with like, it's such a guy thing, but I think it's something like, because in my heyday, maybe he would see, he saw different women at the house throughout the years. And I think but the thing is, I'll tell you what it is. I think I'll tell you what it is. I never slacked on my work.
That's true.
So I think because I was still upkeeping in my work, my chores, like my responsibilities that he'd given to me, he was like, okay, he knows what he's doing, at least to some degree. There is one piece of advice he gave me, actually.
Which was
to do with a girlfriend of mine I had at the time. I don't know if I've told you this. Maybe I have told you this.
I don't think you have. We'll find out in a minute.
You will find out. And I remember one thing he said to me, and I'm not going to say her surname for keepsake, but I'll say her surname for the sake of this, is Smith.
Mm-hmm.
One thing he said to me, because he saw how I was with a relationship and how she was trying to change me a lot. And he said, Kijunde, remember, when you marry a woman, she becomes Mrs. Usrosho. You don't become Mr. Smith. And that has always stuck with me. I think it's with my dad. I think especially because Nigerian man, he had traditional values, successful, very much the head of the household.
Yeah.
Especially as his first child and his first son, that element of, a woman comes into your frame.
Yes.
When you marry her, she takes your last name.
Yes.
Yes. And that's really stuck with me. And it's not to do with who takes whose name, but it's about understanding that, she comes into your family. Now, that was one thing that I'd say he gave me that really stuck with me.
No, this is the first time I'm hearing that. So
yeah,
great advice.
Let me ask you something, Mum. Okay, this is kind of fun. Actually, something you actually touched on.
Yeah.
You said about how you feel that one thing you've noticed about maybe the younger generation of women today, you feel like maybe they don't know what men look for today, and they're focused so much on the looks. What do you feel your generation of women know about men that maybe you feel the younger generation don't know? What do you think your generation understands?
That men are vulnerable and sensitive, like every human being.
Yeah.
I think the lens of conditioning of how we've been raised, certainly my generation, to see men, a lot of it obviously stems from the father figure and the relationship with the father figure.
Yeah.
Because that's the first role model that we see of our relationship with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
But I would say a lot of men are sensitive, vulnerable, and have the same, to some degree, the same needs that women have: to love and be loved, to be kind, to be cared for as they care.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of women, it certainly didn't register with me in the early days with your dad, fully understood as I do now the responsibility that lays at the feet of men who are invested in having a family. There is a huge amount of financial responsibility, should it be the traditional gender roles. But it's about making sure their family is safe. As a woman, we don't have to think about that. Having a roof over our heads, food on the table. Just, there are certain things as women that would never occurred to me that your dad would naturally take care of. It wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah.
So I would say that we need to give a lot more men the opportunity to be human just as we are, and not see them as being our saviors or our rescuers or people who parent us. A lot of individuals, not a lot, but there's some individuals who are in a relationship and they expect their partner to parent them.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's about understanding that if that's your thing, that's your thing. But we've got to go into a relationship or a partnership with the intention that my emotions and my needs are for me to understand and take accountability for.
Yes. Yeah.
Do not look to a man to provide everything for you.
Yeah.
Because what if the roles were reversed? How would you operate in that space?
Yeah. That level of pressure.
Yes, it's huge. And the expectation.
Yeah.
And we also expect our men to be fit
Mm-hmm.
and look good
Mm.
as well. And it's not the most important thing.
Yeah. Very true. Do you think having a son has shifted your understanding of that
Hugely.
as a woman? Okay.
Hugely. Understanding your emotions as you got older. And there were different emotions to mine as I was growing up. And that's when I started to understand that, as your testosterone was building, how that was shaping you as a person, helping you to understand yourself as a young, as a young boy and then into a young man, was fascinating to observe. And the conversations that we had and the way that you saw life was really different to the way that I saw life when I was that age. You were more in tune with who you were as a person, but you also, because of the level of emotional intelligence that you were really blessed with, you were really aware of how other people were and how they perceived you and read you wrong and underestimated you. And there were some circumstances, especially in your early dating journey, where you had an opportunity where someone had really taken advantage of you, somebody you were dating, and you had an opportunity to get your own back.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You remember?
Yeah, I do.
And you made the choice not to. And that said to me a lot about who you were and the values that you hold for yourself.
Appreciate that.
And so having the opportunity to see dating through your eyes has really opened my eyes. And you shared a lot for me about the, being a captain. Can't have two captains on one ship.
Two captains in one ship. Can't do it.
And that, I was like, oh my goodness. And that helped me to understand the role that I naturally play in relationships, and also learning to accept that that was my natural lean to be a captain.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your dad was a captain, which is why, we didn't end up, doing the whole journey together.
Yes.
Because we both wanted to lead.
Yes.
But it's what attracted us to each other.
Sure.
So I'm really attracted to captains, but captains don't work for me. So you've really got to know thyself, as Shakespeare says.
Yes.
And accept that as is who you are.
Yes.
And you're a captain, aren't you?
Who knows? Who knows?
Because you're a captain.
Maybe not. Who knows?
You are definitely not a co-pilot.
Well, and those who deal with me, they already know what the deal is. That's so interesting. Yeah, we've had a few conversations about that. Definitely about that dynamic. And I think, and we'd have to talk about anything you don't want to, but I think you've experienced both, being with a captain and then one where you were the captain, he was following you.
Yes.
What was, and you'd have to share anything you don't want to, of course, but what was that experience like? What was the difference in that experience, being with a captain and being with more of the lieutenant who was submitting to your captainship, I should say?
I think there's pros and cons with both.
Yes.
And from my personal experience, now that I know that I'm a captain, because I didn't know then, I just had two very different personality types.
Yes. Yes.
One which was very similar to my own, and the other which was completely opposite to mine. I would say dating your dad, who was a captain, there was, because you both want to lead, you want the other to follow.
Yes.
And things that were very, and it's also down to the level of importance on whatever that thing is that you want
Very
to lead
true.
on.
Very true.
So your dad and I really worked together when it was really important to him, but not to me.
Yes.
You know, so it's like, yeah, fine. Let's do that. Let's move there. Let's buy this.
Yeah.
So one of the things that, an example of that was where something was really important to me, but not necessarily important to him, was he wasn't fussed about what I called you.
Okay.
And that was so important to me.
Yes.
But he was, whatever you want to call our child, that was fine. But what was really important to him was that we had a traditional naming ceremony for you.
Right.
And certain other traditions.
Yes.
Which, because they were really important to him, that was fine by me.
Yeah.
So that's where it worked really, really well.
Yeah.
Because in those two instances, we did it well.
Yes.
When we lead really well. And the outcome and the result is very pleasing to both of us.
Yes.
So there's a lot of harmony. Where there was disharmony was when two opposing things were important to both of us.
of you. Yeah.
And that's where it was, and none of us wanted to give.
Yeah.
And when you don't want to give, you don't listen to understand.
You listen to respond.
You listen to respond and state your case.
Yes.
And your father was very stubborn.
I know.
Because your father, he wouldn't say much. He would go really quiet. And I'd be giving it all of this.
Right.
And he was really quiet. And I never knew what he was thinking.
Yes.
And then 2 days later, he'd come out with something. I'd be thinking, I've got to rebuild my case. So that worked really, that's how that relationship worked. On the other side, where I was leading, it meant that I got my way most of the time.
Which is a benefit? Is that a pro?
Yes and no.
Go on.
But what it meant was that in terms of the operations of the relationship, where we're going, what we're doing, that always sat most of the time with me. And then when I got tired of leading and wanted to hand over the baton,
yes,
it wasn't done as well as I would have done it if I had done it.
And I think a lot of women experience this as well. So what made you want to hand over the baton at some point?
Exhaustion.
Sure.
You get tired.
You get tired.
So the learning that I had about myself was, if you're going to lead and lead well. If you want to hand the baton over, allow them to do it their way.
Very true.
And not have to do it your way, as opposed to, so they're doing it your way instead of you doing it your way.
Yes. Yeah.
Let them do it their way.
Yeah. Because if you hand over the baton, but you expect them to do it your way, are you really handing over the baton?
No.
Because you're still mapping it out. They're just the one following the navigation. Whereas to lead is actually mapping out the navigation itself.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So true. One conversation that you and I have had is, because I know you said about exhaustion. I think a lot of women experience that, especially if they're in a relationship where they feel like they have to lead, if they feel like they're the mother, so to speak, right? Because the mother is the feminine plus authority, right? And you can only lead when you have authority. Do you think that, in your personal opinion, because for example, like with my dad, at least, and I don't know his intimate relationships, but I know what my dad was like. I can't imagine he's ever handed over the baton. I can imagine he's been like, you can choose, I don't mind. But in terms of when it comes to actually quote unquote leading, like getting things done, I've never seen him hand over the baton in that sense. And I'm thinking, I wonder if, I don't think he ever got exhausted, is what I'm saying. And it says in the Bible, burdens are made for shoulders, not hips.
Interesting.
And so I guess the
Good
question...
thing I've got broad shoulders then, isn't it?
If you've got broad shoulders, well, there you go. But I was going to say, do you think that Well, do you think men ever get exhausted of leading, or do you think that, do you think it's more, I don't say more innate, because I don't think it's about man or woman, though I do think maybe naturally more women would prefer their man to lead and vice versa. But do you think that level of responsibility is something that maybe a lot of women don't actually consider and realize when they step into that captain leadership role? And then they get to a point like, this is a lot, I'm done.
I suppose everybody's different.
Sure.
But what all women go through is menopause.
Yes.
And that's a huge change on a woman's body.
Yes.
And it can last for many, many years. I'm talking over 10 years. And a lot of women, when they become perimenopause, going through menopause, that's when the exhaustion, if you're a captain, becomes more evident, because you don't have the same level of energy.
Yes.
You don't have the same level of attention. There's a lot happening within your internal world.
Yes.
As well as your external world. And having to navigate menopause with leading can lead to burnout.
Yes.
For women.
I hear that. That makes sense. Of course, in men, we don't experience that.
No, but it doesn't mean that you don't experience something different as you get older.
Very true. Very true.
But this is a known...
Yeah, I guess because...
a known effect that happens to women.
Yeah, when you're going through that transition within your body internally.
Yeah.
Then you're operating from different levels in certain things. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So all the women audience, all your women audience, take note. You can't do it forever.
You can't do it forever. Hey, listen, I've spoke to many women who are my age, late 20s, early 30s, and they've been independent. They've had these independent life.
Yeah.
And even just for themselves, they're like, I'm done.
Really?
Yeah. They can't, mum, a lot of women nowadays, they can't, because I think it's tougher to be independent now because of cost of living, just doing everything yourself. And I think this is something that, here's the thing, we have the most freedom we've ever had, but with freedom comes responsibility. And I think this is where a lot of women, my generation, have exercised the most amount of freedom, but maybe have underestimated the responsibility that comes with that, especially just for yourself. Because I've had, this is anecdotal, but I've had many women around, especially around this late 20s, early 30s age, especially if they've been very career orientated, strong, independent, unless they're very, very passionate about their career. I've heard a lot of getting to a point where they're like, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to lead this independent, strong, independent woman life. Yeah. I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
Because they are exhausted, and just, cost of living today for a lot of people is difficult anyway.
Because if you ask yourself, what are we ultimately looking for?
In a partner?
No, in life.
Fulfillment.
And?
Love?
Freedom.
Money doesn't buy you happiness. Money buys you freedom, and freedom buys you happiness.
Nothing buys happiness.
You know what I mean by buy.
Happiness comes from within. That's why you have to do the work.
Very true. Actually, I agree.
You have to do your internal work. And then when you're happy, the money will just flow. But that's a conversation for a different day.
That's a different kind of conversation for sure.
But yes, where ultimately we think, because the narrative given to us is that money will give us happiness. But there are many people who have money and they're not happy.
It's very true.
And so when we're working and being independent as women,
yes,
if somewhere at the back of our mind we think, well, if we only just get to this point in our life, we will have the happiness, the freedom, the fulfillment.
Yes.
But really, the journey is about having the happiness and the fulfillment on the journey to getting the money.
Absolutely. Gratitude is the attitude for happiness.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I want to take a shift before we begin to wrap things up. And thanks for being so open, honest with us, Mum. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. I feel free to say, what do you think I have wrong about women? What do you think I get wrong about women?
that we have to fit a mold.
Say more.
That because we have a different makeup to our physical bodies, that we're different.
You don't think we're different?
I think everybody's unique.
Yeah.
And that because we have the label women, we should start to investigate, are all women similar? We have things in common, but we're all very different and very unique. I don't think you have anything wrong. I really don't. I think you're really in tune with women and what women want, and you really help them find what they're looking for. I know, in your coaching business, your dating coaching business, how successful you are and the success that women have had with you. And I really take my hat off to you. And I wish I had somebody like you when I was your age.
I appreciate it.
I don't think you get anything wrong. And I know that you are very bespoke in the way that you deal with your clients. And I would say about the mold, I think maybe what I'd like you to do is share with your gender that women come in lots of different beautiful forms in terms of who they are as a being, and not to allow their gender to dictate how they're treated.
Fair, I hear that. Do you think, when you say not allow their gender to affect how they're treated, do you think, is that regarding how men treat a woman because she's a woman?
Yes.
Okay. Give me an example.
Yeah. So I think it would be great for men to see them as a person first, not as a woman. And I don't know if that's possible.
I see what you're saying.
See the person behind the woman. So even with the appearance,
yes,
which I know attracts men, I understand the primal DNA.
Yes.
But it's about really understanding her as a person.
Yes. I think that's fair, actually. I agree. Do you think women see men as a person before a man?
Probably not, depending on what their intention is.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's almost, I see you as this man and what you can give to me.
Yeah.
Instead of, I see you as this person. Let me find out more.
Yeah.
Because I really believe that the best relationships, the best intimate relationships, have to have a friendship as part of it.
I agree.
Because if we treat sometimes our friends, or we're more considerate to our friends than we are to our partners.
Yes. Yes.
And we don't ask the question, why is that?
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So it's about, I'm choosing them because they can be a friend as well as a partner.
Yes. Yes.
But we go the other way around. Can they be a partner? Do they have everything? Do they tick all those boxes?
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think this is one thing that you may disagree with me here, but this is one thing that I think men do learn, is that she can like you for who you are, but she will not choose you for who you are. She will choose you for the life she believes she can build with you.
Correct.
And I think that's a bitter pill that we as men have to swallow, that we do swallow. Like, you could be a very nice guy. You could be the best. You could be a great friend to her.
Yes.
Have that element. But unless you have certain tangible things that she believes, I can build a life with this person, she will not choose you. And I think that's...
You're so right. I have to tell you something I saw on Instagram yesterday.
Go for it. Talk to me. But you said I was what? Sorry?
You're right.
It's just a little inner joke that we have. I appreciate it. But I hope that makes sense. Go on. Tell me what you saw on Instagram.
So right. So I can't remember what it was called, but it's a program and there's snippets of it on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's in America. And there were all these women standing with a red balloon.
Oh, the balloon. Yes.
Yes.
Pop the balloon.
Yes.
Yes.
And they all happened to be, I think, black women.
Yes.
On this particular episode. And this black guy came, and he was kind of your average person. He, in terms of height, he was kind of average. Looks, he was kind of average. You could see he went to the gym. Really nice looking. He was a nice looking person.
Yes.
So he walked in. Obviously, he was given with the microphone, and all the women popped their balloons
Before he even spoke.
before he even spoke.
Yeah.
So of course, the host, great host, was asking a bit about him. And he started to share that he was a children's author. He had his own Airbnb. It was on an island. He ran quite a few successful businesses. And all the women there, their mouths dropped open because they suddenly saw the life that he had that they wanted.
Yeah.
And it was because they didn't see him as a person.
First.
Facts. They looked at him based on his appearance.
Yes.
And as women and men,
Yeah.
and everyone in between, we really need to check in with ourselves. But you are right. Sometimes as women, we look at what can they give us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead, and it should be, outside of looking at them as a person, what can we build together?
Right. What can we build together? 100%. Listen, Mum.
Yes, dear.
It's Mother's Day tomorrow.
Aren't I lucky?
So I got you a little.
You didn't.
I know you love sunflowers.
I do.
So I got you a little as a pre mother as well. When this comes out, Mother's Day would already come. But this is for you and your little card as well. So I'll put that on the table for you. And thanks for coming on. We love you.
Thank you.
We love you.
I love you too. This is lovely. Let me just put it here.
You put it down. Mum, we appreciate you coming on and sharing some of your wisdom, being open. You have a business, right, and everything. So if people want to find out what you do, what you get up to, where can they find you? Tell us about that.
So they can find Maggie and I at The Blactionary on TikTok and Instagram, because we're the co-authors of my little black book, A Blactionary.
No, is that your Instagram, at A Blactionary?
At The Blactionary.
At The Blactionary.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We also do shows where we do a deep dive into words and phrases around the language of race. Great. And our next one is at Foyles on the 28th of March.
In London.
Yep. Free tickets on Eventbrite under The Blactionary Show.
Amazing. Mum, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
It's been a pleasure,
son. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Go give The Blactionary a follow, a like, all that good stuff, right? If you're going to be in London 28th of March, make sure you show up. I will be there. My mum will be there, now who you've seen. And yeah, it's going to be a good time. So, Mum, we appreciate you. Thank you. Guys, thank you for tuning in. And I will see you in the next episode.